a couple questions that I have for you, Bjorn, is can you talk a little bit about the sanctioning, who sanctions in the state, the fights in the state of Kentucky? And I have a question for Chad. How old are you?
39 yesterday.
39. Whoa. I did my best day, was I ever thinking about that? Okay, so if you can take that question, we'll open up the question.
Makes you still think you can actually do things, doesn't it? Look at Chad. The sanctioning of our sport has really kind of jettisoned into the consciousness of the public over the last 5 years. The UFC took it upon themselves to get the sport first sanctioned in Nevada, where they had a stronghold, and then subsequently kind of saturated the vast majority of this country getting sanctioning done. And that is no easy task, and it's something, while they are a competitive entity to ours, it's something that I always am thankful that they did, because it cost a great deal of money, a great deal of time, a great deal of effort, a great deal of sale to get this sport. And one of the things that people who are not familiar with the sport don't understand is that these athletes that are fighting here, more often than not, Joe Warren is a two-time Greco-Roman world champion. Our middleweight champion, Hector Lombard, is a two-time judo player for Cuba in the Olympic Games. The list goes on and on and on. Patricio Pitbull, who will be fighting here on Thursday, a week from Thursday, two-time national champion in Brazil, really the hotbed home of jiu-jitsu. And what these guys have is, unlike boxing, these guys have nowhere to go. They win Pan Ams and international titles and world championships and Olympic medals. Ben Askren, who's fighting for us in 2 days in Kansas City, Olympian from the U.S. in China. So they have nowhere to go to progress that career. They have nowhere to go to take that decade or more of intense workout and training into a professional domain where they can make money and continue to do what they do and what they love to do. This mixed martial arts has given them that opportunity. The long answer to a short question is, this sport is sanctioned throughout the country just like boxing is. It's sanctioned in California, and Nevada, and Arizona, and Kentucky, and the list goes on and on and on. There is one holdout which should fall within literally probably the next 90 days, which is New York State. But all of the sanctioning follows the same rules and regulations. You have to be sanctioned as a promoter. You have to put up bonds such that the athletes are paid for their performance inside the cage. You have to get medical tests done on every athlete who participates to make sure they're fit to compete. You have to abide by a set of rules and provide all kinds of safety measures so the athlete's performance and the athlete's health. It is sanctioned just like boxing is, or just like much more intently, but just as any sport is. There are governing bodies who control it and oversee it and ensure that we as a promoter are doing everything right, and that fighters like Brent and Chad are prepared physically to participate in this great game. So that sanctioning takes place all over the country.
Questions?
What does it cost if I want to, average guy, I want to come out, what is it going to cost me?
What's our lowest price ticket?
$15.
15 bucks. And as you can see, it's standing room. So basically you can get, I mean, you know, literally a $15 ticket can put you on top of the cage. $15 ticket at most of the event venues we go to when we're in the round will put you in the nosebleed seats and you'll be watching the video screen for the vast majority of the night. Here, a $15 ticket can get you right up against one of those second level risers, and you'll be literally, you could jump off the dome, but you could jump off the riser into the cage.
And I think $100 ringside.
$100 cage side, I think there are still some $100 cage sides still available. There's really not a bad seat in the house in an arena like this, because you're walking and drinking and playing and having a good time, and it's just, it'll be packed. If it's anything reminiscent of Kansas City, it'll be an electrifying audience.
Question?
Sir, what do you say to critics? Early on, there were certainly their fair share of critics of the sport. There still are people out there who say the sport is just too violent. What do you have to say to that?
You know, I always answer that question the same way. And we were the first organization to have ever secured an exclusive alliance and partnership with the ESPN family of networks to air mixed martial arts programming across their airwaves. And of course, they're owned by Disney. So when you reach kind of the high watermark of standards and practices in terms of this sport having reached a general market crossover perspective, when Disney says okay, you're kind of there. What I say to them is that numbers don't lie. The perception of this game, which is based on its past and its current situation, is that it is a very visceral, a very fast-paced, and it can be a very aggressive game. And that's what it is, and that's why the response from a young male demographic has been so dramatic. That's why it's the highest-rated program on Spike Network, on Versus Network. It's why the last 2 live events that have been in primetime on CBS have been the highest-rated programs on that network in the last decade. in prime time on Saturday nights with an 18 to 34-year-old male demo. But when you look at that level of enthusiasm and response, it is softened by the fact that every single study that I had to quote to get this sport approved to go on the ESPN airwaves points to the fact and verifies that mixed martial arts fighting is infinitely safer than boxing. Not even worth comparing. I mean, it's the safety equivalent of sitting in your living room watching a sporting event versus running with a blindfold on the San Diego freeway in California. Boxing is an extremely dangerous sport. I could go into a long explanation and give you all the numbers, but there have been, unfortunately, God forbid, a number of boxers who have lost their lives inside the cage. And throughout the entirety of the sanctioning of this sport in this country, there has been one mixed martial artist who has lost his life, and it wasn't due to blows, it was due to a pre-existing condition. So the sport is much, much safer than boxing. But what takes it to the next level, and what of course always opens up people's eyes, is if you classify safety based on death or an injury that prevents the given athlete from continuing to participate in that sport for his or her future, a disabling injury, mixed martial arts fighting is infinitely safer than college baseball, professional football, college football, and cheerleading. So it is a misnomer and a misperception based on just a lack of learning and understanding that people look at this sport and say it's so dangerous. It is visceral and it is aggressive. And it combines the majesty and the magic that we all love in sport. If you watch football, what do we love? We love the big hit across the middle. If you watch basketball, we love the big slam dunk. In baseball, we wait for the home run with bated breath. In soccer, a powerful goal struck from the 35-yard line. Mixed martial arts combines all those things: speed, power, and aggression, and technique, all in a closed 30-foot environment that you can see with great specificity. So it is the numbers don't lie. So what I say to people when they ask that is that, I say the numbers are what the numbers are. And it is a wildly safe sport, given the fact that when you watch it, it's a wildly visceral, impactful, powerful sport.
Bjorn, was just answer the question.
I could ask that question really often.
Any more questions? Thank you very much. All the athletes and Bjorn will be available for one-on-ones.